You can't draw ducks unless you live with them. Robert McCloskey. Robert McCloskey stood back and studied his sketches. He shook his head. These ducks are not right, he thought. That wasn't how a duck waddled, or fell on her behind, or flapped his wings. He paced around his New York City studio. How did he get himself into this duck-drawing mess anyway? It had all started years before, when he was in art school in Boston. Walking to and from classes, he'd laughed at the funny mallard ducks in the park. He fed them peanuts and watched as they splashed and dove in the lake. Once he ran into a whole family on the sidewalk, waddling into the public garden in a long, orderly row. Mr. McCloskey finished art school and ended up in New York City. A few years later, he returned to Boston for a visit. He'd completed his first children's book and was wondering what to write about next. Again, he saw those funny mallards. He remembered the family of ducks he'd seen on the sidewalk. He smiled. His eyes sparkled. And there it was, his story. A pair of mallard ducks looking for a safe place to raise their ducklings in a busy city. Bingo! It had taken him quite a while to get the words on paper. Then, when he finally had a rough story, it was time to draw the illustrations to go with the words. And that's how he found himself today, scratching his head, searching his memory, picturing those ducks, trying his darndest to draw them. It was, let's just say, harder than he'd expected.